everybody, and welcome to this edition of There's a Will. It is Sunday in Warsaw, and this show, as some of you may know, certainly my guests know, it is a movable feast. You never know what day it's going to be recorded, but today we're doing it on Sunday. And yesterday was a major event in world history, and we'll talk about it in a second. And I say that not with irony at all, because my guests don't like irony. Ironing. At any rate, I have on the horn there in Bydgoszcz, Anthony Mcfarlane Gonzalez, representing the Scottish contingent today with that marvelous middle name. And I have on the esteemed Olgierd Uziemblo, who's drinking some strange brew. Strange brew. Yeah. Anthony, you've had a haircut. You look very neat, sir. Have you had a haircut? You haven't.
No.
You're just wearing one of those little hats. No, that's your hair, isn't it?
It is my hair. But
it is your hair. It's not one of those hats. Yeah. Okay.
I wish.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little hat. This is a hat.
No, it's not.
This is a rug. Okay. It's not even a hat. It's a rug. And Olgierd, I noticed before. Can we see are those new glasses, reading glasses you have?
I have a whole set of glasses because my eyes are getting really weird recently. So these are the glasses for today.
Those are glasses for today. Okay. I just wanted to check on all your, because your appearance. You're on TV here via the joys of Skype. Olgierd, what's it like out there? Is the weather as good where you are? It's about almost 90 degrees here in Warsaw, blazing sun.
Yeah, it's a bit cooler here, but it's beautiful sun, and yeah, it looks really beautiful outside.
Yes? So people should immediately get on there. It's cold and raining outside in Warsaw and windy. Yes.
Really?
What kind of weather do you guys have over there? We have like 14 degrees and sunny and no.
It's a bit cool here, but it's beautiful sun and beautiful white little clouds.
Oh, so you're being serious? Not you're not teasing me? No,
no, we're being serious.
It's windy. It's cold. I'm wearing this. This is a wool jacket, and coming over here, I wasn't warm enough. I had to pull out and put on. It's like colder than it was on Christmas Day. You know what I blame?
You see that?
Yeah, that's incredible. That's right over there to the east of Warsaw. Beautiful.
Yeah,
that's like Poznan.
He's in his woodland retreat. Yeah. Anyway, so with this paneled library, I want a paneled library. At any rate, what was I going to say? I can't remember now. Anyway, let's move on, because yesterday was one of the major events ever in the history of the entire universe. Can you imagine what that event was?
You keep on jesting, sir. It's
What?
a bit boring.
I'm not. You're not allowed to say that, even if it's true. You can't say that, even if it's true. It's not nice. You hurt my feelings. Gosh, I don't know what to say now. Yesterday was a coronation. There's nothing funny about that. It's a solemn, age-old, centuries-old ritual ceremony in which we accept a new ruler of the islands called Great Britain, which is, let's face it, a bit of a boast.
You're talking to guys from America, Poland, republics. And we don't have the Britisher here, so I don't see the point, actually.
You don't see the point of the monarchy?
How did you get that message?
Nick is going to kill us.
Not only Nick, my friend Guy as well, because I was at a party yesterday at Guy's house where lots of people were, it wasn't entirely reverent. It was like watching, it wasn't reverent at all. It was watching a big spectacle and making a lot of fun of it. And I was saying to somebody, I said, no, got a problem with my kid over there, in the college. He's not You know, he's not taken to it too well. I'm worried, you know, maybe he's going to get into the drugs and the drink. I said, hey, don't worry. That's a minor problem compared to the problems of the British royal family. I mean, that's hardly anything, a kid having trouble adjusting to university. Because, you know, if you look at all the trouble the royal family has gone through in the last 25 years.
I'm sorry, well, the only thing I have to say about the royal family and the big celebration of the coronation, I know a lot of people enjoy it, and the word for that would be for me, well, cute.
Cute. It's cute with a Q. Q-U-T-E. Cute. Yeah. I don't know. It cost $125 million to put on this show. Do you think it was worth it?
No, because we're going to see a second one again in about 10 years' time.
You think?
Sorry, no offense. Yeah.
Did you watch it? Did you watch it at all?
A little bit. I only watched when he was actually getting to the cart, and then that was it.
No, it was just an excuse for people to stand around and drink champagne and wine yesterday and have some nice food. And we had something prepared by a very nice lady called Sophie, who makes chutneys and juices, and they're very good. I recommend them, but I don't know I can't remember the name of them. It's a French name she uses because she's half French, half British, which raises a question, which half, but never mind. And so we had a very typical British food. But Coronation chicken, do you know what that is?
Are you calling chutney British food? Come on.
It's Indian, okay. But the British inhale it like their mother's milk. Anyway, so wasn't it the? Oh, now I've lost my train of thought. Yeah. Oh, Coronation chicken. Coronation chicken we had. Now, do you know what that is?
Nope.
It's a sort of Indian-style chicken, cold, right, with spices and stuff, and it was served at the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. That's what I learned yesterday. I said, why do they call it?
I would prefer chicken Kiev.
You prefer? In this here house, it's closer to home, isn't it? Literally and figuratively. Yeah. Okay, I agree. Yeah. All right. So anyway, that was an event that happened, and there's no sense in going into that. And I wish we had Nicholas here to tease.
Yeah, Nicholas would be perfect.
I know. Where was he?
Tease the hell out of him. Otherwise, I'm teasing you. It doesn't make any point, you know.
No, Nicholas was at the ambassador's residence, of course. He didn't come to our party. He was at the ambassador's residence, the British ambassador, which must have been stuffy. No jokes whatsoever. Must have been terrible. I don't know. Maybe the ambassador is has a sense of humor.
I don't mind Britishers spending their money on that. It's cool. It's kind of, the Rule Britannia kind of spirit. But I don't see much point of it.
Buy a lot of bullets. It buy a lot of...
I think more people making fun of them than actually like them for it. So.
Well, yeah, the big meme going... That's a good point. The big meme... well, you're supposed to poke fun of these ceremonies in a way. It's kind of... If it gets too pompous, then the figures become... those symbolic figures become too removed from the people, right? They used to have festivals where they would make jokes about the king,
anatomically
queen.
Speaking, all that celebration is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but then I'm afraid that recently for more the other people it's completely another location.
Oh, okay. You mean up there? Yeah,
yep.
We can't say that on television, but everyone knows what you mean. What you mean. Yeah. Okay, so that's enough about that. But I tell you, $125 million would have been a good investment in their armed forces or in bullets for Ukraine, because that hasn't gone away. Because Prince Charles has finally got the woman of his dreams as his queen. So, serious matters still exist.
You know what, Will? I would disagree with you because those money not necessarily, because still, even though all the laugh and all the other stuff, I think it is important to build up your own, legend of your own country, the founding myth. And unfortunately, however much it costs, coronation is a part of it. So from my point of view, it's funny, but from British point of view, I think, and I recognize that it is important.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, and that's kind of the point I was making at the top, even though when I was saying it's an important event, because it's the last event of its kind in the world, and it symbolizes somehow centuries of tradition. What?
The last of its kind in the world?
Pretty much. It's the last big coronation. I mean, it's not the only coronation, because I think Thailand has a king. And
you still have Akihito, which is the longest ruling dynasty in the world.
What? Which one?
You've got Japanese.
And the Japanese have it, but I think it's watered. It's a bit more watered down in Japan, I think, in terms of the ceremonies and things. Spanish.
You guys are forgetting the Spanish.
Yeah, they have. I'm not saying people don't have monarchy, but no one else does it in this way, and has this continuous sort of unbroken tradition, and still doing it in that way. I mean, the chair he's sitting in is medieval. The sword, the scepter, these are, from medieval times. So that's, I think the chair,
as I say, it is
the throne is 800 years old.
Myth, but,
What?
It is important for the local myth, from the founding myth of Great Britain. It's okay.
Well,
I'm
okay,
not shaken or disgusted by it. It's
okay. Which raises a good point. Are these why are these founding myths important? And because only 1/3 apparently of if this is to be believed from one poll, 1/3 of the British young people believe that the monarchy is necessary anymore. So how are those young people wrong, or is it still necessary? Olgierd.
I would say that for them it is obviously necessary. You've got founding myths, and founding myths
but only 1/3 of young people believe it is. I don't know what I said.
Well, it's still
believe that it is
quite a lot.
1/3's quite a lot.
Yeah, if you talk about necessary and they really find it necessary, I think it's quite a lot. In modern times, when nobody gives a damn about government.
Different way of looking at it. Okay.
It's kind of quite a lot. Ask how many people would say, I don't know, the local government is important in the United States.
All right, well, let's move on. Okay, good. Leave it with that. Let's move on to another man bites dog situation. From Coronation to the shootings in Serbia. Not one, but 2 shootings in Serbia, one of them by a 12-year-old or 13-year-old.
13-year-old.
Killed 8 people in a school in Belgrade. That's extraordinary, isn't it? And not only that's extraordinary, but there was another one, mass shooting 2 days later, where they killed another 8 people. What the heck's going on with that? Anthony?
Copycats. Well, that just screams copycats, because most of these mass shootings you'd see in the United States, and that's what we're accustomed to seeing. But a lot of these kids are first off, how the hell did he get access to the weapon in the first place? What type of weapon did he use? I mean, come on. I mean, a Kalashnikov is very easy to spot. Still, I mean, if you use a shotgun, yeah, but that's still kind of odd. But yeah,
he had 2 pistols.
In the United States.
The seventh grader. He had 2 pistols. The other person had a rifle, right?
Yeah.
AR-15 or something. Yeah.
No, Kalashnikov AK-47.
It was an AK-47. Okay. I'm just wondering.
Still, how he got? It's like, but Serbia. What are the regulations? It's like for the United States or Poland. I'm going to use Poland because Poland has a really good example. They have a good pistol control, and they have thorough background checks. They have psychological evaluations. They have to go to the police department in order to register the pistol. And then the pistol does not stay in your house. It stays at a sports group or a shooting group.
Yeah.
But how did this kid get this weapon, these 2 pistols?
I understand. I mean, that from reading about it, I was going to ask my friend who lives in Serbia, Daryl, but Daryl's not there right now. He's in Canada. I think a lot of these weapons are left over from the war. I mean, they had a substantial civil war, didn't they? Not that long ago, 30 years ago. And even to the beginning of the 21st century, there were still various fights, Kosovo Macedonia, that were a bit after the original ones in Bosnia and Serbia. So I think there are weapons left over from that, aren't they? But you say it's copycat. I think this is a good point, because it seems to me that copycat behavior is the biggest problem with these mass shootings, and the publicity that people get from them. I think they shouldn't say the person's name or provide pictures of them as a start, so that you don't get any publicity from it. I think it would go some way to curtailing or even stopping a lot of these shootings. What do you think about that?
It actually would. There was actually an interesting study that was conducted by a couple FBI agents that actually did study this on the publications and how social media has been affecting, and how just media in general boasted more to come to fruition. And that's what happened with Columbine. That's what happened with Sadie Hook. That's what happened with the shootings that you just had in Dallas lately. And there people are saying that the Texas laws are too lax. Well, Texas laws apply the same throughout the entire country of the United States. Yes, people are more advert to get it because they're more pro-gun there, but that doesn't mean that the laws don't apply to them as in other states. It's the same thing. So copycats not only just happen in the United States because of social media, train of thought lost. Social media is empowering media in general, is empowering these guys to do it because, hey, woe is me. Why can't I just do that? I'm going to take out as many people as I can because my life is going to shambles because I don't know how to figure out how to deal with it or cope with it. The problem that we are not doing in schools, or parents nowadays, they lack, is the ability to teach their kids how to cope with tough situations that they may encounter.
This is a good point, that not really guns have something to do with it. Like in China, there was a really overlooked epidemic of knifings, mass knifings in places like schools, like adult people, I mean adult people running into kindergartens and knifing as many kids that they could get hold of. And the number of victims is not much lower than what we see now. It was just not advertised that much in media because it is China, it's even closed, and we don't know much about it, but it still is. Because the problem we don't have the coping mechanism, and that's sick. We have the outrage culture building up everywhere. It's not only Western speciality. Everybody is outraged now. And we do not have any way to deal with that outrage other than blowing up.
Other than some form of destruction. Is that because we have things too easy as a rule? We're too easily influenced by information? I mean, these things didn't happen before mass media. They didn't not without, there were mass murders, there were wars, there were ethnic cleansings, but did these sort of events we can trace really to the beginning of at least superficially, to the beginning of mass media. The first mass shooting was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That's the first famous one, but that was between gangsters. And then in Chicago, of course, people can look that up. And then the first mass shooting was a fellow that we know as these things. And well, you got the guy in Texas in '65 from the tower in the Texas University of Texas. But you also had before that, in 1946, I think, a guy just went walking down his small town street or neighborhood and shooting people randomly. That was the first, these sort of random shootings of the pattern that we've come to recognize as mass shooting. Just someone going out and shooting people indiscriminately. Sometimes they're relatives and things like that. That's a bit different, or friends or next door neighbors. It's all macabre, but it's a different motivation than just a random killing. Like somebody who kills members of their family is different from a serial killer, for example, although the numbers may be reach a mass killing level, which I think is over 3 people killed as a mass shooting or mass killing. But so if you go back to the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that's during radio time, and that is the 1920s. Okay? As we've increased our mass media, we're getting more of this. So I'm just saying, is there a connection? Is there an ostensible connection?
Yes, they have found an extreme connection to that because it actually allows them to get proper attention. That's what they're craving, is attention. They want the attention to be focused on them so they can feel some sort of self-worth, because they loathe themselves to want to be something more than they have, to feel alive or feel part of something. That's what they've seen and studied, that these guys are missing a part of themselves in society. They can't fit in. That's one of the psychological relations they've made.
Yeah, psychologists will tell you that a lot of acting out is about attention of any kind, whether negative or positive. It doesn't matter, just notice me. I don't care if you beat me up, I want to be noticed, you know, or if it costs me my life in extreme cases. And I think that that suggests this is a problem of two things: breakdown of civility, manners, because political correctness is this sort of, which comes directly from Soviet thinking, is not a substitution for good manners, right? And civility. It's the breakdown of that, and also this narcissistic culture that we live in. You know, every facet of my life must be documented. A friend of mine pointed out to me that C.S. Lewis wrote about this. This was curious. He wrote about what, it's really the end. I'm paraphrasing. It's really the end when people will start focusing on what they're eating and making a big deal about it and telling everyone or showing everyone, And that's exactly, what happens with social media. It seems to drop to the lowest common denominator. I'm having lunch. Notice me.
C.S. Lewis' Cosmic Trilogy.
Sorry?
Have you read C.S. Lewis' Cosmic Trilogy?
I have not, no. Enlighten me.
You should read the last part of it. It's actually a very, very good description of modern society, is what happens in there.
Yeah, he was very far ahead of his time. There's a friend of mine who's a writer and photographer who was telling me about the C.S. Lewis. It was very pleasant. Sometimes you get lucky in a conversation over a beer with the right person, and you learn something. And that was a really fun.
Yeah, because the whole group of Inklings is actually very interesting. But of course, Tolkien and Lewis standing out.
Yeah.
And in Lewis, I really respect much more than Narnia. I really like the Cosmic Trilogy because those three books are really amazing in terms of composition, in terms of what actually he sees in the last part as vices of modern society. And the way he describes it it's amazing, because he actually foresees a lot of things that is happening now.
Yeah,
that are happening now.
Incredible
but
guy.
About the shooting, I think it's a self-expression myth that is going on now. People want to self-express anyway they can. And the terrible thing is, the moment that we have deep division in the society as we have now, we stop seeing the other people as human beings. And the moment they become just props, we can use them as canvas. We can draw our self-expression upon their dead bodies.
Excellent point. We must go now. Thank you, Olgierd. I think that put a cap on it. Thank you. And we'll see you after the commercial break. Be right back. Right, all roads lead not only to Poland, but directly to the studio in beautiful, beautiful downtown Warsaw, where frigid December temperatures have descended on us in the lovely month of May. And my guests today are Olgierd Uziemblo from deep in the eastern part of Poland, where the sun is shining, and also Anthony Mcfarlane Gonzalez, our Scottish friend, from Bydgoszcz, where the sun also is shining. I'm jealous. I feel left out. It's terrible. It's terrible. Where's my onion when I need it? You know what? Something very important, so it would make me cry. The onions make you cry, right? If I had an onion, only if I had an onion, I could really be sad.
And we'd play you the world's smallest violin and hand you a towel.
That's right. Well, with my onion. What are we talking about? The thing that happened this week in Poland, or is it the beginning of the week, or maybe on the weekend, was they closed a school, a Russian school. That was, and the Russians have a lot of buildings in Warsaw, and one of them was being used as school, and Poland just closed the school. And I was wondering, why did they close the school? What did those kids do? I guess they're kids of Russians working in Poland. I don't know. It's the first I'd heard of the school. Did you hear about this event?
No, that was the first time I've heard about it when you sent me the article.
Yeah, I sent it to you, yeah? And you were reading about it.
Yeah. No, I know people who graduated from that school.
Oh, you do? Okay, Olgierd. I figured you would know, yeah?
Yeah, it's not only Russians, it's a lot of people who are Russian-speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I know, actually, talking about Serbia, I know a couple of Serbian people who graduated from that school in Warsaw, in Poland, and went on to study in Polish universities. Well, the level was apparently good, but the problem is that Russians owe a lot of illegal property within Polish capital that they were unwilling to give back. And Polish people were raising hell since a long time, especially the ones that recognize like 40 properties or something like that they owe are just owned illegally. Then Russians would never give it back to you because they don't do what? They don't never negotiate.
Yeah.
So I do understand that the school was cancelled. And another thing, looking at what is happening in Russian schools now, I would also understand that we do not need another Russian propaganda machine in Poland on our land, especially if it is in a legal building.
Yeah, I think this is the point. A lot of people probably don't know just how many properties, I mean, a lot of property that is still was confiscated by the Russians, and they have maintained control over since the Russians left Poland as an occupying force. People forget Poland was occupied. It's not just Ukraine. Now, Poland was occupied.
In Warsaw, all over Warsaw, I believe that they're being confiscated as we speak, from what I understand. The whole process started when the usually reluctant to do it city government joined in with the Polish government after the war, because they decided, we cannot overlook that those properties are not legally Russian. So we just of course, Russians raise hell and say, no, this is not diplomatic.
You're being anti-Russian, that's what they're saying. Yeah. But they're talking about kicking the Polish ambassador out of Moscow.
Well,
that's okay. Bring him back home safely.
A long time ago, I thought that the only way to reclaim those properties would be to break up with Russia, withdraw all the diplomatic everything, give it back to Russians, then take it back from them here, and then reestablish our new Russian-Polish relationship. Maybe that's what we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, why don't they close that huge embassy that belongs to the Russians and give them a nice villa somewhere and say, let's start over.
Preferably in Western Pruszków, near Turkey.
Yeah, let's start over, or somewhere east of Białystok in the forest, but in a hollow tree. But you know what I mean, and. Because the Russians are they're so pushy, aren't they? Let's face it, they're pushy. Yes, it's a pushy group of people. They bat way over their average. You know, they think of themselves as batting way over what their actual average is, and it's tiresome. They're boring, bullying people.
The bullies, and they always
the government. I mean, the government.
We are aware of that. So it's like, yeah.
And it's kind of fun to see Poland bullying them back. And, why not turn that giant embassy into a kid's playground,
Well, they have already lost a lot of land around it, because you remember that there was the whole living quarters opposite side of the embassy that were also belonging to Russian embassy.
Yeah.
And they were legally Russian. and they were completely they were completely devastated by those years because nobody was using them. So they were reclaimed only a year ago after the war started.
I didn't know they were only reclaimed a year ago.
Yeah.
And they built the hotel on the edge right there next to the embassy as well. That was reclaimed land, I suppose. It used to be a regency. It's something different now.
Well, there is a lot of property like that. I hope it will all come back to Poland. Russians will have the nice big embassy, whatever. I don't mind it that much, although I do prefer them living in Tvorki.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It would be okay for them to have a big embassy if they're a little nicer, you know? That's all. Why should you let somebody who's been historically so, who's had so much enmity?
And then there is representatives of the Russian government and Russian parliament saying that the Polish ambassador should be assassinated.
Yeah, not just recalled.
Whoa,
That's right. Recalled forever.
That's something that is, yeah. I know that we made a big boo-boo with the Russian ambassador being painted red. I find it being a mistake of Polish police. They shouldn't have happened.
What do you mean painted red? What happened? What happened?
That was a year ago, exactly during May, when the Russians, regardless of Polish authorities asking them not to present flowers at the monument of the Russian soldiers.
Oh, right.
Because there will be the difficulty of making sure of their safety. The Russian ambassador was egg-bombed with a red paint.
Right, that's right.
It was,
Ukrainian activist,
red
which
water balloon.
not a good thing. It should not have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can hardly blame Ukrainians for wanting to.
Well, I would not say of blaming because I insist on one point. It should not have happened. And whatever was driving that Ukrainian lady, it should not have happened.
Yeah. Well, if you start, you should respect diplomats. I mean, that is that is correct.
And officials, Russian officials, calling violence to Polish ambassador in Russia.
Well,
it's an immediate pull for me. Sir, come back. I would have pulled the Polish ambassador right back home with that threat. You're no longer allowed to be in that country until stuff cools down or this animosity is completely gone. I would have completely done that, and then still had the Russians here, showing them, hey, we're allowing your Russians here. We're not threatening them with their lives. You're threatening my guy. I'm sorry. Diplomatic immunity over in Russia with my ties with my ambassador there, gone. So your ties are still here. Shows a sign of respect that we have still.
If you do that, who wins, the Russians or the Poles, by doing that, making that move?
We do, because we're showing the better side to the rest of the entire world.
You're saying, okay, you threatened to kill our ambassador. He comes home, and anybody else you threaten like that, and we'll pull them out, and we'll publicize what you're saying. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because the Russians are publicizing these. This is another thing of the bully, because they consistently threaten nuclear war, assassination. I mean, don't you get sick of this at a certain point?
Executive officials of Russian government, Mr. Medvedev, who he still has executive power near the top of Russian government. He calls for nuclear war.
Yeah, the same fellow who called for the assassination, right? Yeah.
Yep.
What's his name again, and what's his position?
Medvedev, and he's the chief of.
He used
to council, whatever it is.
Okay, he's the one who called for the assassination?
I don't think he called for
I don't think it was him.
He was one of the people that did.
But he backed it up.
Yeah. Yes.
He backed it up because he's the one who's been making the nuclear threats as well. Don't you think that's with the prompting of Putin? Putin doesn't let people say things like that without his approval, does he?
No, he probably does it because he has to be the tough guy, so he can oppose himself to Putin, who is much softer and nicer. That would prefer Putin,
He's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Let's face it. I won't hear a word against him.
Olgierd and Will, what in the heck is in your coffee and in your tea?
He's a good man. I don't know what's in his coffee. I didn't even drink much yesterday, even though there was lovely stuff. But we were going to have another guest in the studio at the party with me yesterday at the Coronation. But unfortunately, he has a hangover.
Oh.
Couldn't make it. Not even answering the phone. So I knew that was going to happen. I won't say who it is.
You not remember what you told him at the last moment that you don't remember. That's why
his wife just looked at me and said, "Really? Are you kidding? He's going to show up tomorrow?" Yeah. I said, "He might if you bring him." She said, "I'll try." Yeah, I knew he wasn't coming. And I won't say who it is because he's a friend and also he's been on the show before. And and his first name is Nicholas. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. It wasn't Nicholas Richardson. He's Nicholas sleeps in his suit. He's always ready to appear. Yeah.
I know, and it's always so prim and proper, and it's not wrinkled up. It's just always dry clean. I'm like, dang, how the hell do you do that?
I don't know. It's a 007 secret. Right. So what's going on with the war? Anthony, you and I had exchanges about, I didn't speak to Olgierd about it, but Anthony, you and I had an exchange or two over the week about the shift in the news again about the war. For about 6 weeks, we had a lot of Russian propaganda winning.
Yep.
And now the Western propaganda is winning and just obliterating Russian. And they look like complete morons with this assassinating of the ambassador of Poland and Poland taking back, Poland took back this territory. That's a big, then, took back this building where the school was. And, but now we're also hearing that, the Russians are running out of men again, and that's come, and armaments, and this has come to the fore. Whereas 2 weeks ago, the Russians were winning again, winning. The Ukrainians were being slaughtered. What's going on? Is it just propaganda wars shifting back?
It is extremely, it is propaganda. And it's misinformation that the media are getting, like always. It's driving us intelligence guys nuts because they don't seem to really want to get the facts out there. And the people that they're getting their sources are absolute crap, most of them. And even the guys that they're getting the sources from, they're not on-ground personnel. And kudos to Ukraine for not giving out a lot of the ground information anymore because they saw that the Russians were using that against them. So that's good on them. And whichever allies, I will not say the names of any of them that are on ground, kudos for them to keeping their tight lips because it has helped out the Ukrainian offensive that has begun, and there is an undisclosed time of when they will actually start pushing even further. So that's a good thing. And that's one of the reasons why there was a shift 2 weeks ago where there was the Russians are winning because they had no information. Information was dry, clearly dry. And now they see that the Ukraine is pushing back and moving forward and actually gaining grounds. And Wagner is coming out on media saying, oh my gosh, we don't have defenses. We're losing men left and right. We're going to pull out because we don't have the support from Russia.
We don't have ammunition. Yeah.
Exactly. Food, ammunition, supplies, anything, nothing. They're cut. And that's because that's what the Ukrainians want. They want to push and cut off the head of the snake, which is Wagner. On ground. The head of the snake is actually Putin, but on ground it's Wagner.
So if they can if the Ukrainians can eliminate Wagner or make them run away and go back to Africa or wherever else they can murder people, or attempt to, then Ukraine feels that that's going to be a psychological and not only psychological, but a military blow to the Russian army. Yes?
Yes, because the Russians do not have enough military equipment as we speak to provide themselves. That's why they're seeking help from their partners, of which China does not want to stick its fingers into this war.
No, China has...
I hope Burkina Faso will help them.
Burkina Faso. China doesn't want to stick its hand into this because they have everything to lose. And what do they gain? I mean,
China is doing what they were doing all the time. They're sitting on the fence. They gave them one finger, then they took the finger away, and they had a visit of Xi Jinping, and then Xi Jinping calls Zelensky, and then there is this weird interview of the Chinese ambassador to France, and then China votes against Russia in the UN Council. What the hell?
Not only China, but India. And one other country that is a huge ally. I forget what's the other country?
Congo?
India.
I don't remember.
No, but there were three countries, and those three were totally
but
unexpected.
India was actually expectable because India is a bit, we do not like Russians.
No, India don't like Chinese either.
They buy 24% of their military power is Russian-based equipment.
And they realized it's worthless now.
True, but they still have to get rid of it.
They have the same problem with Russian equipment that they do with buying Land Rover. Also, crap.
Yeah.
There is a problem with Land Rover.
That was such a great vehicle of once upon a time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so India we're not supporting, but China was a big surprise for Russians because they were so convinced they are in the carriage with their beloved betrothed Mr. Xi.
Yeah.
And as we always say in Chinese department, nah, that's only temporary, and it was. So China was a big surprise. More interesting for me is what is happening within Russia now. What do you make of the Great Kremlin burning?
I think that was actually a Wagner group that was pissed off at Russia to show them, hey, you idiots, we're here being left alone. Because they have access to the drones, and Moscow is not too far away for one of these drones that is Iranian-made. That was the other country, Iran, that voted against them.
Everybody says that drone was not flying 800 kilometers. It was not possible.
No, that stuff is. The thing is, these guys already are training not only in Russia, they have trained in Belarusia, where a lot of these guys receive their training. So a lot of this equipment's already in their country, and it was already pushed there. So that's an internal attack. And they're blaming the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are like, we're not going to waste our equipment on your guys' country. That's going to incite more shit. We just want you guys to leave our country. Leave us the heck alone. They can't blame Ukraine. And they're saving all their equipment for their counteroffensive, their spring offensive, which everybody knows is already currently going on right now. Why the heck waste equipment that they can use to destroy and utterly push back the Russians that are inside their country? That's stupid. No, that's Russian inborn terrorism. So, or, and I'm hoping, Ukrainian operatives that are inside Russia that are pushing this to get it to the Kremlin to make it more of a side of hand to push and make it seem like it's an inside job.
Well, I have a third theory. It was the guy who wants to claim that $500,000 for making an attack on the Red Square. It was this private-owned enterprise that offered $500,000 to anybody who will manage to attack the Red Square in the May days.
Oh, right. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, that's
Ukraine. But seriously speaking, the Prigozhin one is actually more, the Wagner group. Look at what is happening with those mysterious explosions in Russia. Dugina.
That's what I'm saying.
That Moran, what was his name? That poet
the one that was bombed in a, what is it called? The cafe?
In a cafe.
Lepin,
who is a really important writer for the nationalists.
Because he was pro-Russian, and he was there speaking, and unfortunately, innocent people did get hurt. Innocent people, hold on, I'm just saying. However, but still, unfortunate other people got hurt. But he was the main.
In the cafe, but they were coming to a patriotic poetry review, so I don't really find them that much innocent.
The drone that exploded over whether it exploded or was shot down, I don't know. But there were two, apparently. Yeah. Over the Kremlin. I mean, that just seems a little too neat. It really does.
Exactly.
What? Really? And the Russians, you can't believe anything they say.
No, the trick is that there were people who are insisting that first, the camera that was accidentally filming the whole thing was placed too well. That's the first thing.
Okay. Yeah.
If I were about to shoot Kremlin, pretending that I'm Ukrainian that wants to make the most impact propaganda-wise, I would not have bombed that flag. I would have bombed the bloody red stars on the Kremlin. That's what I would
or right into Lenin's mausoleum. But or just landed on Red Square. Just to show, you don't even have to blow anything up. Just show that you can do it. That would be the move. We're right here. We're watching you. That's the move. That's the power move. blowing something, I mean, what can you do? You can't destroy the building really with a drone, so it's kind of silly. This is why Ukrainians don't get those really sophisticated planes, because there is a thought
they would do it,
that they would go straight to Moscow.
No, there's a thought. Well, they would seriously do it. They would. No joke. My God, they would.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
150 feet over the surface, straight to Moscow, under the everything, and just take it out, baby. So, and you could do that. That was my idea. What I would have done on the first day of the war is I would have taken out their fleet. I would have got low-level planes, maybe half a dozen jets, and just taken out their fleet, sunk them all in the harbor at Sevastopol, or wherever they are.
But the thing is, I got to give credit to them, the Russians. Don't give them very much credit, but their CWIC systems on their ships are absolutely top-notch. They're comparable to our CWICs in the United States on their Navy.
Explain what that is for people.
CWICs are a self-defense mechanism, Gatling guns that are on the ships that fire explosive rounds, about 100, I think it's either 20 to 120 rounds per minute. But you're talking, if everybody's familiar with the A-10 Warthog.
It's the same thing. It's what you see on the Blackhawks in Black Hawk Down, isn't it? They're using
No.
That's a different thing?
They're using bigger caliber. You're talking
okay.
30 millimeters higher caliber rounds that are being fired at 120 rounds per minute.
That would have cut that building in Kremlin in half.
Okay, so
but the ability that these things track it's incredible. They can track down missiles that are incoming. They can get fast-moving missiles, but they cannot shoot down a certain Mach level of missiles. But a jet is child's play for this. So
even if it's coming in low, because they've got to spot it.
Yes.
No, it's still like a Christmas tree. It's big, it's large, and it's lit.
Yeah.
No. And what it looks for, the CWICs tracks them via radar, and then it also tracks them via their heat signature that is emitted off the plane.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time.
Christmas tree, yeah.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Went pretty fast, but we're running out of time. And I just want, so the drone and the pipeline, we still don't know who's doing these things, do we? It's hard to know what to believe, isn't it? But the drone, Ukraine, Russian red flag, false flag. What do you say, Olgierd?
I would say it's still unimportant.
Unimportant. Our security expert, Anthony.
Everything is leading to Russian false flag, but I'm hoping that it's Ukrainians because I really want them to take it to Russia.
Good point. Okay, I'll ask you one other thing. Crimea, is it going to be taken by Ukraine? Are they going to attempt it? Can they do it?
They're going to attempt it, but they're going to be slowed down by the barriers that they're going to be running into, especially with the alligator teeth. Because in order to take the Crimea, they are going to need ground forces and heavy mechanized infantry and tanks to take over Crimea. And also to move in air defenses to get in there.
Olgierd?
Well, I believe they will try to take Crimea.
Okay, we got to leave it at that. That's all we got. See you next week. Thanks for watching. I want to thank my guests, Olgierd Uziemblo, esteemed sinologist and the intellectual on the show. Well, Anthony is too. But Anthony Mcfarlane Gonzalez, our ostensible and, in fact, security expert. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and see you soon. Thank you for watching.